Ignoring cryptocurrencies is not an option. Blockchain risks and solutions for growth.
Very happy to host this round, and I'm Dieter Brockmeyer from the Diplomatic World Institute, a think tank in Brussels. And I'm dealing with innovation, and in the blockchain sphere, I'm engaged since 2015. But I'm not going to talk too much about myself because we have another topic. Well, it was all regulation before, now it's something completely different. But I think the organizers were not aware how spot on our topic would be, since we are talking about ignoring cryptocurrencies is no option. And it's not only the FTX troubles we are in. When you followed the news today, it's still ongoing, and I fear it will be ongoing for quite a while. So, Joshua, you are the academic in this round. How do you evaluate the market? What is the situation we are in right now?
So I would say the situation is not great when you look at it from public perception. Suddenly there's this FTX crash, and everyone's saying, oh, you guys are doing your illegal stuff again. So I don't think it's great from public perception, but I think from a community point of view, it's not too bad, because the people that are getting through this are the ones who are actually there to make this tech better. Now, really and truly, the FTX the saga has nothing at all to do with crypto. It's a centralized trading operator. Just like we have financial trading operators, they are also centralized. It's exactly the same thing. The only difference is that these guys are not as regulated. So FTX apparently had some level of regulation, but yeah. So I think this also highlights to us the fact that this happened, the ripple effect that it had, the impact on news. It means you can't ignore crypto. Crypto is here to stay. People are using it, and there are serious ramifications when things go wrong.
Well, what strikes me in this situation is usually when you have these tech cycles, a bubble is building up once, and when you look at the internet bubble, it went up for 10 years, and then before it deflated. And now we are, since 2017, we now have the fourth wave of deflation. I mean, that's really worrying for some people, definitely. But you don't think that's that bad or that worrisome?
So there's definitely like worry from the public perception. I think so many young people have gotten into the space. So I used to walk into lectures, no one knew what crypto was, no one knew what NFT was. Now I walk in and every single person, the non-techies, have NFTs, have crypto. So I think there is this want that people are no longer trusting the system. And that is at the end of the day what blockchain, what crypto is about. And in fact, this crash that there was shows us that we need crypto, shows us that we need decentralized tech because we can't trust the centralized entities. So I don't think it's a bad situation. Overall, it's just bad for public perception.
Well, and also this situation right now is also, well, cleaning up the market in a way, I would say. Sergio, you are consulting companies to scale up. Well, I doubt that there is an upscaling at the moment. So since we are not having an entrepreneur here, you also will have to talk a little bit about this angle. What is the situation for movers and shakers right now?
Well, basically, I think you know, in the sense that you know, the fact that we cannot ignore cryptocurrencies is because we are you know, in this limbo, in this particular very sweet spot, you know, where crypto, blockchain, NFTs, and so on, they have grown enough to start affecting the real world, if you want to put it that way. So they are affecting the you know, the banking, the governments, the you know, the livelihood of people, the they affect, the stock exchange, and the stock exchange affects them, and so on. So before, they were operating in relative isolation. There was this niche, people were doing whatever they were doing with it, and so on. But it has grown enough, that it is starting to affect the other ecosystems that are around it. But it has not grown enough to be mature enough to be able to live together maybe with the other ecosystems. So it is still, in my view, a niche market, and one of the reasons for that is that it is still something that for a lot of people is difficult to understand how to use and what to do and so on. And I think that everyone is talking about regulation. I totally agree. I am a bit concerned about over-regulation, which is something that kind of it happens over and over again. But that is something we will have to see, because. I think that governments not always have the best interests of the industry at heart, and sort of they focus on certain aspects, like taxes. But the situation as it is very precarious, and I think, as Joshua was saying, this crash after crash, and sort of it actually is healthy, because as you said, it's cleaning up the industry. It's through every cycle that we go through, there is a stabilization, but it cannot really go into maturity until there is this mass adoption, until we actually find something that is going to give it a real world use, and for people to actually believe, I can actually use this for something, and apart from that, I think that one of the main issues that there is the fact that blockchain was built with the idea that technology can resolve everything, and we've learned that this is not the case, and there's a lot of bad actors in this space, being a decentralized system, people I think are left alone. They're left without the soft cushion. And that brings in a lot of issues about security. How do we protect people? And I think that is one of the big focuses that needs to be implemented.
Well, bad guys sure is a very big problem, and you can tell that it's always the issue of bad projects. That's one side, but the other then is of bad guys selling no projects. So security, Hubert, is your domain, and I think you're coming from the traditional banking security side. And this brings me to another aspect when you mentioned the over-regulation. The problem we have right now is that the mindset of regulators is still rooted in the analog world. And they want to bring up the same set of regulations, say, to the same level it is in the analog world. That, of course, is not working in a digital environment. So how are you dealing with this gap? Because the traditional banking industry, of course, is very much interested in their old security schemes. How do you bridge this gap?
Thank you. Yes, somehow I'm always the one talking about bad guys. That's a nice positioning. But to put it very seriously, cybersecurity is all about trust, and I like what was mentioned before. It is definitely a market that cannot be ignored, because at the end of the day, the end users and customers are choosing or want to choose to use new methods of payments, and cryptocurrency being one of them. So quite clearly we cannot ignore it just because of that. But speaking about typology of threats, blockchain technology and the Web3 as a new way of organizing economy quite clearly generates new ways for potentially bad actors to interact with the system. And it's all about incentives. Like we've been working or we've been fighting with online payment fraud and account takeovers for over 6 years now. And it all boils down to identifying what kind of incentive pool someone can extract from a particular user flow or system. So as long as there is a tangible pool of incentives that someone can extract from the system, they will be spending their time and resources on trying to extract this. Just as 200, 300 years ago, we were talking about brick and mortar robbing a bank attacks, and then it moved obviously to different forms of extracting money. The fact that we are decentralizing online economy in a particular way doesn't mean that there is no incentive to be extracted. The real threat here is that the education and awareness of the society is not really following the very rapid development of what is happening online. So quite clearly, social engineering with certain technical tools becomes a very obvious choice for the opponent, because if you're able to exploit underestimation, lack of understanding, associated with the bubbles that are sprouting every now and then, it is becoming the easiest way to trick the opponent. So we don't necessarily need to go into a military-grade technical security measures, because very often where the money is left at the table is where the human component is present. Speaking from the perspective of someone, or I represent a company, we are currently a team of 100, and we have been focusing on this very dark economy aspect of what is happening around us. There is a very important transition from the Web 2 businesses to Web 3 interest, because the users are generating demand for this, and there is general curiosity to innovate. So where we are seeing today a lot of risks is associated with where the fiduciary payments or fiat payments are merging with the crypto payments, because obviously this is a very interesting area where again incentive pools can be accessed. So definitely underlining the statement that we shouldn't, like, cryptocurrencies shouldn't be ignored despite everything that is happening all around us.
Yeah. So, but also the most money still is done with a traditional fraud, like they just arrested this international gang. They expected to have made $2.4 billion with their fraud, just convincing people to invest in non-existing crypto assets. So that's another problem. But we slowly but steadily are running out of time. So let's just have a quick outlook around. What are you expecting? When will the situation improve? Is the situation improve? And what will it look like?
So solutions and risks. The funny thing is blockchain is both the solution and it's the risk. It's the solution to bad actors. But the solution is code that does exactly what it does. It's written to do, excellent. But if there's a bug in the code, it's a risk. So education needs to be there, and tooling to counteract the risks that blockchain brings.
Yeah, I mean, I think that you know, things are going in the right direction. There's still a lot to do. I mean, when I say this, you know, this chain of events, and you know, I see the interest of you know, larger organizations, governments, and so on, sort of trying to make this merge between the old financial system and the new financial system. That is encouraging. a big thing about education, also about simplification, to the point where people can actually understand what all this is about and how to use them. I mean, if I go to a bank and I want to open an account, everything is like sort of cleanly dusted, and I see only the surface level, and I'm protected, and I just see my money going in, going out, and so on. If I want to do the same thing with crypto, it's like sort of, I mean, you need to understand rocket science, I mean, it's very complicated to get into to understand what it is and so on.
But I heard only yesterday how complicated it is to open a bank account on Malta. So that's another thing.
that's a different kind of thing. That's bureaucracy.
Okay, Hubert, your short estimate.
Briefly, like from my perspective, the monetary or the transaction component of blockchain is one thing, and where the real excitement, at least from the fraud fighting perspective, will be very soon is like NFTs and what it could mean for identity services, and using a token as a unique item that you are able to authenticate yourself with across various platforms, and then thinking about impersonation, about account takeovers, about some of the other fascinating from the negative side events. This is where the security threats and challenges for the blockchain as a broader concept will be very relevant.
Okay, we made it in time, almost, and thank you very much. I'm sure when you have questions, our speakers are approachable, and yes, have a very nice evening and a nice party at whatever.